Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. Today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever this beautiful planet may be, I have another wonderful guest for you, my good friend, uh, Maria Davis from beautiful Australia. We connected about a month or so ago from once again one of my favorite communities in the world, the Serving Circle of Tyson, wonderful Tyson. And we connected with a wonderful chat. From the first meeting we had on the live calls, there was this connection as an energy, and then we had a call to get to know each other, and then we were trying for the past month and so to make that happen, and finally we're here. Super excited to have Maria with us here. And yeah, Maria is doing wonderful things. One of the things she just did and even helped me a little bit is that she's a medical intuitive. We're going to talk about that. I told her I was feeling a little bit uneasy, whatever, because I've been since yesterday, since I woke up, I had this little bit sensation of being nauseous. And she looked at me. She said, "Wow, she maybe it's something to do with your balance. Go see a chiro." I said, "Okay, that's wonderful. This is what I love because I'm learning about areas I had no idea even existed. This is why a podcasting has blessed my life in a way that incredible. It's part of my ongoing education journey with talking with incredible experts from around the world. So Maria, she's doing wonderful things. She's teaching women in small groups to create magic, and then in a way that they create an intentional world, and now we become in sync with what we desire. And she has a beautiful program for that, a 12-month program. We'll talk about that later throughout. But also, what she does is that she works with astrology, numerology, chakra. She's been studying metaphysical area for a long time, since 2011. But she's been honing her skills since the moment she arrived in this planet in this lifetime. So I think she's been doing that for more than at least 2 weeks, so she has quite a lot of experience in that. So and now she's sharing those experiences with the world, and she has tremendous experiences to share with us. She wrote a book. She wrote a chapter in a book, and now she's working on her own book, which will arrive later this year around the fall here, spring for you guys in Australia in the southern hemisphere. And yeah, she's had a fair share of obstacles and challenges that she overcome. She had cancer 2 years ago. She beat it like there's no tomorrow. And yeah, and she had an NDE experience. So much we can talk about. And I really love her philosophy. One thing she shared with me, one of her taglines, is that what you're feeling is right, and to feel is to heal, which I absolutely love. So, anyways, without any further ado, Maria, welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Payman. I'm like, yes. I'm so glad I'm here.
Pleasure's all mine. It's absolute a joy to connect with you. You have such a wealth of experience to share, but most importantly, you're such a wonderful person to talk to. You're really fun. If you were not fun, we would not be having this conversation, because I don't like, I don't know about you, but I don't like having boring people on my podcast, So first, as I told you, first and foremost, people want to see if they can relate with a person, and if you're fun. That's when you take it further to next step to do business with them and so on. And so yeah, so I'm super happy to have you here, Maria. Awesome. Now, as I told you just before going live, I'd like to have a look under the hood to see what's in your heart, to get to know you as a human being, and to have a heart-to-heart conversation, hence the name Leaders with a Heart. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely ready. Ask me anything.
Right.
I'm here.
Let's take off. Buckle up, guys. Then, okay, so for people who don't know you, tell us. We're gonna talk about your business in a moment, but for people who don't know you as a human being, as a person, who's Maria?
Oh, I want to say, if you say you can't, I say, what? I get curious about how I can, and that's how I live my life. I really am a rebel at heart, and I've stayed in these societal narratives, and I've been curious about how do we break free of the holds that are not ours. And that leads me on a path of curiosity and how am I supported when I step off the ledge of what I know and what I don't know? How do I know something more? So one of my things is to learn something new every day. So I'm a lifelong learner. And I think that if it's in your realm of reality, and this is how I've lived my life, if it's in my realm of reality and I have a thought around it, it's going to happen. Sure, I'm going to say, but how? How can it happen? What am I, and get curious about what comes into my sphere so that things start to happen. And whether it's buying a house, buying a car, having children, getting married, getting a relationship. How is not my thing. It's which is a human thing. It's normal, but it's like I wonder what will come today to make my life, my desires materialize. I wonder. So, and that's really held me in good stead my whole life.
It's amazing. So you like to manifest and put out your intention to universe. As you said, the how, that's not none of your business. That's universe's business. You know, your business is to put your intentions out there and make yourself, receptive for that. I love that. That's amazing. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know you. Ready?
Okay, ready.
All right. So tell us, what makes you happy?
I want to say my children. I went to my children and I went, you know what? It's when the dogs smile at me. That makes me happy.
Amazing.
A smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, you mentioned smiling. Speaking of smiling, what makes you smile?
Connections. And sometimes I smile with a knowing. I go, that makes me really like, that's so good. That makes me smile when I see things that eventuate, because people have I've had trust, I've had faith, and when I see that in others, it's amazing.
Absolutely. Now, let's take the happiness, factor a couple of notches even higher. What makes your heart come alive? What makes your soul, what sets your soul on fire and makes you want to come alive like there's no tomorrow in a positive way?
Oh, I want to say when the unexpected happens, it's like, oh my God, I knew that was going to happen. My goodness, that was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to happen like that. And it's that moment of flying. When your heart, my heart smiles often. I love you making and that's something I say. I go, you're making my heart smile. It's so beautiful. But then when my soul soars or when my spirit flies, it just feels really special. Those special moments, extraordinary moments.
Now I can see the Italian in you, because when I asked you what makes you come alive, the way you answered the question, I could see your whole body language, your whole expression, really all of a sudden like, wow, almost about to get up and take off. And I really love that, because, you were actually literally in front of my eyes, coming alive, becoming a different person in a positive way. I love that. That's the Italian side of you. So that's amazing,
Thank you.
Awesome. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, tell us, what makes you sad and angry?
Injustices. And injustices make me angry. I'm a social activist at heart. I think we are all equal, and people that feel they can't, and they have had enough experiences to put them in a corner, and it's hard for them to break through. I want to give them my hand and say, come on, let's walk together, because I believe with all my heart that if you take the first steps, that's the things that make us grow. Take a step daily, tiny steps. It doesn't have to be big. And I've been in some dark places myself. So I know it's those moments of inspiration, clarity. The inspiration gives you clarity. The action gives you clarity, and it gives you a determination and a success pebble. It's that success element when we feel that we can. So never feel you can't. That makes
Absolutely.
me sad.
Yeah. Now, what scares you other than spiders?
Oh, what scares me? That's a good question. Fear of death. I have fear of death, and a fear of my family, being healthy, and I think that's the Italian in me. I don't want to blame all Italians. I'm just saying me.
You don't want to put 80 million people on your back, you know?
No, not
They
at
can be
all.
very
No, that's
expressive, you know?
yeah,
Molte caso
exactly.
dici.
Yeah, when my family is far
Yeah.
away, it's when I'm sort of a mama bear, and I want them all close.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Now, I know you're a very multi-talented, multi-dimensional lady, but what would you say is your number one personal superpower?
Connection,
Mm,
connection, and trusting my intuition, trusting the divine. That I have messages all the time.
I mean,
I'm
downloads?
very well supported. Yeah,
Wow.
channeling downloads. I'll have a message like we had before the show. I have messages where people are unwell or they need support. That's my superpower, and they just come through thick and fast.
So,
My channel is wide open.
so before speaking of that, before I even told you that I was not feeling well, did you notice anything not
Yeah,
right with me?
yeah,
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
That's
So
powerful.
yeah, so your energy was dialed down a little bit compared to what you normally are.
Yeah,
So
just
I
to
go into, I just sort of sit here and immerse myself. So one of my superpowers is really to read the energy field. And then one of my gifts is to be open to the channel. So it's not me, it's my
okay.
support team.
Wow, awesome. Now, just to reassure people, I'm okay. I have no problem. Just like since yesterday morning, I woke up, I felt a little bit dizzy and nauseous a little bit. Nothing bad, just but it's annoying enough to be annoying, if you know what I mean. It's not gonna stop you from doing what you need to do, and but it's annoying in the background. So yeah. So other than that, knock on wood, I'm doing well, and I'm tremendously grateful for that. So awesome. Okay, now you love traveling, right?
I do.
All right. So tell us, Maria, what was your very first trip you took?
With my parents, when I was 7, we went
Wow.
to Italy,
Oh, wow.
and and that was my very first trip on a
Must have been quite a
plane.
long trip, right? From
It
Australia?
was 20 plus hours. It was back in 1970, before some of you were born.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a long time ago. I was 7.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, let me take you in a different type of traveling down memory line. You mentioned when
Okay.
you were 7. Let's stay in that area when you're growing up as a young girl. You know, when we're kids, people around us, family, parents, teachers, relatives always ask us, so Maria, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a young girl back then?
A teacher. I was
Mm,
forever curious and building blocks. How do I do
mm,
building blocks? And it was, teacher.
awesome. What was your relationship growing up with school? Was it a hate relationship? Was it a love relationship?
I would say a love-hate relationship. Uh,
Depending on the teacher or the
I was
subjects, I guess.
Yeah, I was very, that's such an interesting question. I haven't been asked that before. So thank you for
You're
asking,
welcome.
because I don't like the pigeonhole boxes and the straight lines that we have to learn by. And
Mhm.
as an adult, I've tried to explore different ways of learning. And I think now, looking back at when I was at school, it was that linear approach that I was really, was that love-hate. I love to access knowledge, but I didn't always like the way that I needed to learn it. And so
Okay.
that's been interesting. I think that's evolved my teachings
Mhm.
today too. So thank you for asking. I've never thought about it. That's so
You're welcome.
true.
Well, this is part of the process of getting to know the person as a human being, you know. So let's stay a little bit further in that happy time as a kid and in school specifically. What was your favorite subject in school?
I want to say English, which
Mhm.
surprises me. I'm like, what? I don't know that I had a favorite, but I did like politics as well towards
Okay.
the end of my
School,
schooling.
yeah,
I
yeah.
loved politics and I loved English. I loved English because we studied the last year of English was really interesting, and we studied identity, which is something that I look at identity as a philosophy, as a principle, as who am I? And that's all of the personal development genre is based on that. And it's really who are you? Getting to know yourself is great. And then politics is like, that's so interesting how the mastery of communication can change the trajectory of how we look at things. So that's an interesting perspective for me.
Awesome. Wow. And what would you say was the one subject you could not stand at all?
It's so interesting because it was maths, and
Me
I'm
too.
like, yeah,
Me too.
but it's so funny because numbers are, I'm like tick, 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 the admin and the accounting side of the business. But so interesting, yeah. But maths, once it got up to the scale of
Uh,
numbers and figures and letters,
Equations
and
and all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, what? That's all above me. But it's funny because I teach sacred geometry now. It's like, go
Oh,
figure.
wow. So what was with math? Was it a teacher that turned you off from that? Like it happened to me. Was it you were never numbers were not your thing from the get go?
Yeah, numbers aren't my thing.
Okay.
Numbers, because yeah. But
Okay.
go figure, I teach numerology and
It's funny.
astrology,
Yeah. Yeah.
quantum physics, and yeah, and it's I find numbers have an energy to them, and I don't. Maths was a standard set of formula equations that we needed to find the little bit that was missing, and that's what I do in the quantum. But to do it on a formula basis, that I missed something along the way. There's something missing. Maybe there's something missing in me along the way.
Now let's go a little bit further ahead, but still sticking in school. So, so when you're in grade 10 and grade 11, let's say if you were in the same class, what type of student and friend were you back then? Were you like the life of the class, the party girl, or were you like the nerd or the wallflower, the quiet one, or the
Oh my
dreamer? So,
God. But that's so good questions. Payman, I
thank you.
got, if Maria stopped talking, she could learn something. I was the talkative one. I was
I can see that.
I was group collecting groups along the way. I was the rebellious one, sharing notes under the table. I was one of those students,
So you were the
but
kind of
having
student that
fun.
you would love to have in your class and be friend with, I guess, eh?
Yes, absolutely. Someone that thinks outside the box, but doesn't, like, I stuck to the rules, like a sort of, but just push the limit.
I can see how maybe the teachers at school were not that keen of that. You know, I can see there be
Yeah,
kind of like a friction at times.
yeah, and if I was really passionate about something, I would ask lots of questions, and they'd go, Maria,
The annoying girl
Maria,
again. Come on, shut up,
yeah.
Maria. Let me continue. Do
What about? Yeah, so
you
I'd
guys have any
ask lots.
question except you, Maria? I can see the
Yeah,
teacher saying
exactly.
that.
What about? And then I'd go, why? What have
Or the
I
teacher
asked you?
completely ignoring you, you know? Maria, you've talked
Yeah,
enough. Let someone else, others
yeah,
speak a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you mentioned that you're very social. You love talking. You love, speaking and arguing in a good way. And you mentioned you love politics. Did you have any plans to go into politics? Or
Oh, I did when I was younger, but no,
really?
I don't. I actually worked for the Victorian government,
Mm,
and I worked at a level that I was privy to the inside machinations of politics and funding and all of the compliance issues that go with it. And no, no, I think I can do more as a social activist. So I do want to contribute to the community, but I can do more outside of politics than I can in politics.
okay, okay,
But I did think about it for a little minute.
okay, okay. Now, what was your very first job?
I worked as a sales assistant in a
Mm,
store called a Treasureway. I was
mhm.
14 and 9 months, I think. I was not 15 yet.
Wow.
And
Was it allowed back then?
yeah, it was allowed back then. Yeah, you have to be 14 and 9 months, I think. So I was sort of just above the cut. And yeah, and my cousin worked there as an assistant
Okay.
manager. I don't know if she got me the job. Maybe she did get me the job. But anyway, I was working there. I wasn't very good at it, but I worked there.
How did you feel when you saw the very first paycheck of your life in your hands? How did that make you feel?
How good is it? How amazing is it? It was like when you get the first sale in your business, right? It's like, ah! But yeah, it was empowering to actually provide a service and get paid for it. So that was great.
You like that first job, or you just couldn't wait to get out of there?
Uh, did I like the first? It was intimidating. It was
Mm.
intimidating to be that young in a big store like that. Did I? And I didn't know the rules. You know, when you don't quite have that induction process and you didn't know the rules. Did I? I don't think I was there very long. I can't even remember how long I was there. Maybe
What were you
3 to
selling?
it's clothing, you know, it's
Okay.
like a it's called Treasureway, like a Target or a Big W, something like that.
So did the customers take you seriously, or
I
just
think I was I it's funny because I don't recall a lot about it. It's so
mm,
interesting that you asked me. So that's interesting in itself. But I think I managed the stock. So I would stockpile and stack the shelves and make sure that stock was on the shelves. So I don't think I had a lot of interaction with the client,
okay.
with the customers. I was
All
thinking, what
right.
are they called? Are they called customers?
Yeah. All right, cool. Now, let's move forward to the moment you left college to now. Let's talk about your path. How would you describe your path? Would you say your path was pretty much straightforward once you get into one lane, one career is pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing, or was it like turns and twists like a roller coaster?
Yeah. Such great questions. I
Thank
want
you.
to say it was a roller coaster, but maybe it wasn't because I was in my dream job until I had my children, and then I decided to be a full-time mum. And then from there, I went. I used that skill set, and I went back to school, and I created. That's when I had my first business. Even before I qualified, then I had my first clients, started my business, and then it sort of the curiosity led me down a path of what else, and I was very interested in the human body, and I started to teach anatomy and physiology and pathology, and then I didn't know I was a medical intuitive until way down the track when I was teaching it. And then it was like, well, why don't others see what I'm seeing? And that was interesting in itself. So that opened other doors. So staying curious and being led along a path and really listening to the nudges, so that opened up. So was it roller coaster? It felt like it at times, but I think it was fairly. It looks fairly linear, but there was a few revolutions along the way.
Progression, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
progressions. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned we're gonna talk about that in a moment, but you mentioned something that caught my attention. You said you had your dream job. What was that job?
I was managing a training program for technical staff across the state. So I was managing a training program for 250 technical staff, and it was a program that applied to the job in the field. So I helped the program be developed in a college. So it was an associate diploma of applied science. So I did that, and then I implemented it. So that was amazing. And that was behind the scenes, not only from funding to on the ground training. So that was how do we train our staff to be more value on the ground. So that was really interesting.
I can imagine. So many directions we can take this, but all right. So let's move forward. I'm sure you heard there's a saying, you heard it says, change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what we keep on telling ourselves inside our head on a daily basis. So when you had to change your story, Maria, to either change your life or bring your life to where you want it to be, how did you do it? Did you do it through the help of friends, family, relatives, coaches, mentors, videos? So tell us a process that you use to change your story, to change your life.
So one of the stories was I couldn't run, and I think it's a metaphor for how we do business. So I decided to join a running club. A friend of mine was in it, and we did casual social runs. And I was like, oh, look at me, I'm running 13K. Can anyone else run 13K? It's really good. And then I decided after about 4 years of doing that, 4 or 5 years of doing that, that I would go to New York and do the New York Marathon.
Wow.
And nobody of my vintage or in my family had ever run anything like that. So it's like, or yeah, done anything like that, gone over. Why would you go overseas to do a marathon? Come on. So I did that, and that changed my story.
That's amazing.
From can't to can. And when you do something like that, that sort of marathon is superhuman. I'm not saying I'm superhuman. I did the training, but a marathon it goes beyond what we're capable physically. So I can't wake up today and do a marathon tomorrow. It's just not it. You can't do it physically unless you've trained for it. So that's the thing. If we train for things, and that changed my life to see what's possible.
Wow, that's amazing. That would be worthy of a book by itself, because you said you practiced for 4 years, all those 4 years. You know, it's funny because one of the lessons I learned in my life, especially since I had my spiritual awakening, is that everything we do prepares us for the next step in our life. Just like a video game, you need to pass the first level, beat that boss to go to the next level. You can't move on to the next level until you finish, complete that. So life is also the same way, in a way, in a very simplistic way. It's like a video game. You need to learn to pass obstacles, destroy that villain in front of you, that boss, so you can go to the next level, ultimately free that princess or win that treasure at the end. So, and for you, when you were doing your, you mentioned, and we use the word progression. You spent 4 years practicing to running, and then the next logical thing was doing the marathon in New York. So once you did the marathon in New York, what was the next step in your progression? What did that lead you, especially mentally wise? You must have felt completely almost like invincible, untouchable, because hey, I went just like, I love what you said, you went from camp to can. So once you've accomplished that, regardless of where you finished at the marathon, it's mentally, how did you take that to propose you even further in life, in your business?
Yeah, and then you come home. And one of the things with the marathon that I learned is that I can't do it by myself. So I had a coach, and the coach mentored me and coached me along the way, and saw where my skills were, where my weaknesses were, and how we could prepare me fully for the marathon. And then coming home after that, before you even finish a marathon, you're planning your next marathon, because that's how the mindset, and that's how you strengthen your trajectory forward. So you're always forward thinking. Same with business. So I came home and I grew my business from that. And that grew to a point that I was really busy. And yeah, that was my most successful year, coming home from that. And then I did the marathon again the next year. So I was still in training and looking after myself with a coach. And I had a business coach as well, which helped me with my business. So I can't do it alone, but I can do it with support. So it opened me up to having support, because one of the things is we don't like to ask for help. And so I started to ask for help. What can you show me a better way? Can I do this a different way? So getting curious and wondering where I could get to, not only with my own personal challenges and opportunities that I set myself, but also in business. How much could I charge? How many people can I serve? How many hours do I want to work? Having boundaries around both of those.
Amazing, amazing. So you said you did the marathon in New York twice in a row, and that helps you in your business. What business were you doing back then?
I was called MD Group Fitness, MD from Maria Davis.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was running group fitness classes from school halls. I was hiring school halls, scout halls, local halls, and having people come to me. And I think at the height of it, and I was doing some corporate work, I was doing some personal training work, one-to-ones, and I do some boot camps. So I'm like, yeah, I'm one of those, get going. If I could do it, they could do it. That I knew. So and my philosophy is, once you taste what success means for you, then you're more able to achieve more success. So you build on it.
Exactly.
So that was my philosophy then. It's my philosophy now in my teaching. So that was good back then.
Did
It was
you
great.
did you take any of your students with you to New York to do the marathon, or did you inspire others to do at least the
I
local marathons around you? Or
I have inspired people to do, not marathons, but I've inspired people to do start up running,
oh yeah,
get fitter. They look at me. I've had people, they tracked me. I had a whole contingent of support when I was overseas too. And that's the beauty of community. It's like, how can we inspire each other?
yes, because at the end of it, it's all about transformation and
Yeah,
changing
exactly.
lives. Wow,
Yeah, one step at a time.
beautiful. Now, let's talk about the business you're doing now. What kind of tell us about the impact you're having in the world? And but before you even start, I want to know, what is a medical intuitive? Tell us about that.
It's it's someone that can X-ray vision your body. No, I'll be serious.
Ooh. You
It
would expect
is sort
James
of
Bond to
like,
do something like that, you know?
yeah, it is like that. I can see where there's a chink in your energy field and in your anatomy, and how that can be healed. So
Mhm.
it's an interesting process. I went through a lot of formal training to actually harness the medical intuition, because I did it quite naturally, and now I'm back to doing it naturally. But I have a framework of how I conduct, how I use my medical intuition. I use it mainly for energy mastery in my program, so that people know where their energy is a little depleted, so they need to fill it up. They're off balance. Thank you. I use it to support them to get the best out of what they want to achieve.
That intuition, that skill, talent, something that you were born with, and over the years you just hone it and became more and more, whatever. There's something that it just happened one day. You woke up, say, "Oh, what's that?" Was it something that you read about it? You get fascinated by it, and you just immerse yourself and learn that from scratch.
No, it's something I was born with, but I
Mm.
didn't have a framework or a
Mhm.
language around it. I think the world's opened up more to help us with language, or at least my world has. I know a lot more people there's not a lot of medical intuitives out in the world, but
Mhm.
that call themselves medical intuitives. I think a lot of people will have the skill, but they don't call themselves medical intuitives, which is interesting. But when I was teaching anatomy and physiology and pathologies, I was seeing that from that, I could see what, even though I had taught them about applying the work, they still couldn't see beyond the obvious. So that was interesting in itself. And then I would look at movement function and I just see things that other people couldn't see. And how it came home is when I studied and I went away on retreat to do medical intuition work with other medical intuitives, they would say to me, Maria, how do you see that? I cannot see that. And I went, and that's when I thought, oh no, it's a natural gift for me. But I needed a framework to put it in.
So when was the very first time in your life that you started noticing that, hey, there's something special about me?
Yeah, that's hard to, yeah, it's thank you. Thank you. Well, when I was a Pilates instructor and I would teach people how to move better in their body, and what I'd see is which muscles were dormant and which muscles were activated, and I would see down to skeletal bone, and I would notice that the other instructors there weren't seeing what I was seeing. And also I would notice that the people themselves couldn't quite activate. They were disconnected from that. And my job was to connect them to the ones that the muscles weren't working. Then I was a remedial massage therapist, and they would book in for their session, and I would know where to work and they wouldn't have to tell me anything. So it sort of started to hone in from the Pilates to the remedial massage therapy. And then I went, there's something odd about me or something special. I have to work this out. So, and then I really found that it's a special gift. And I've supported a lot of people to heal from everything from autoimmune to cancers to having better businesses with more energy. So.
Awesome. So when you first became aware of it, did you keep it for yourself or did you start sharing it with people, close people around you?
Yeah, they didn't believe me.
I thought you were crazy, losing your mind.
For the longest time, I thought I was, really different. But then when it became known as a gift and something that I could support people to heal, now even my family will ask me, my family will ring up, my sisters will ring, Maria, what do you see? Can you tell me what this is about? My mum will say, Maria, I've got this pain. What do you see? Can you help me with this? My brother will go, can you clear this energy? Because, I'm feeling so dense. There's something happening. So then I got into the clearing, the shamanic work. How do we use energy? How do we call in energy? And that's what I call magic. It's how do you manage the energy around you so that you feel safe and secure and you can prosper.
Okay. So when someone comes to you for help, tell us about the process, your programs. How do you help them? Is it small groups? Is it one-on-one? Is it coaching? Is it a course? And how long does it take for them to actually see results? So tell us all the details about how you're how you're transforming lives of people that come and seek your help.
Yeah. So thank you. So when people come to see me, as soon as they've set the intention that they have said yes to the support, something happens, something changes. As soon as they say yes, something shifts in their life, and that's guaranteed. Everyone that works with me shifts something. So whether it be this year, Claudia said yes to Circle. She wasn't quite sure how she was going to pay for it. She got 3 VIP clients. Helen said yes to circle, and she's looking at her book and her website being going live really soon. As soon as they say yes, something shifts. And I think that's for everyone. As soon as you say yes to the universe, something shifts. So and then I do have a program that I work with to unlock their keys. So to hand them their keys. So I don't know what they'll be. So they get keys. What I like, there's codes in the world, and I don't know what the codes are for each person. But as we go along and I teach the program, these codes present for the individual, and that unlocks their potential and possibility. So Ashley wanted a house for her children. She wanted a backyard. She was in an apartment. The next week she had a house. There's just to rent. So there's the house just appeared. So they own the properties, and they own their properties, they're renting something else. And it's sort of such a beautiful synergy with what you ask in the world, you will receive. And there's something that happens from a grounded, intentional perspective, and that's what I call magic, that it comes to you. You don't have to do a lot.
It comes back to what you were saying initially and at the start. You said, I just put my intention. It's none of my business to figure out the how. That's the universe's business. My business is just putting my intention out there, and then magic unfolds in front of my eyes, in front of my path, to the help of universe, God, and all that. Okay, wow, love that. All right.
Trust that I think the bottom line is, how do we trust the universe that it's going to support us? And that's, I say to them, gather evidence. You're here to gather evidence of how you're supported. This is my teachings. How do I trust what's coming to me? And how do I harness that desire that I have so that I am open to receive?
Do you have any specific, what would be the number one tip you would give to people listening to this to get better at this?
Gather evidence. Gather evidence of when you have put something in the world and it's showed up. Like, so for me, my clients will go, Maria, there was a feather out on my windshield today. Oh, it's lucky, just gather small bits of evidence along the way. I say out loud, I would like to receive money. You might see a dime on like we have 5-cent pieces. You might see some money along the way. Gather evidence, and because we discount the small things that happen along the way to say, but they're the evidence that we're getting, and eventually they lead to bigger things. And we have a framework, a construct that say, oh, we really are magical. All we have to do is ask for it.
Yes. So like, for example, you find some forgotten money in a jacket's pocket or a pants pocket, from years ago, or envelope inside a book, they're completely forgotten about,
Exactly. I had booked a holiday. My husband wasn't well. I'd booked a holiday, and I said, right, we're going away. So I booked a holiday, and my husband goes, what are we going to? We don't have any spending money. When we were first married, we don't have any spending money. I go, don't worry, it will turn up. Within a week, like a week out from going away, Mark goes, what? We don't have any spending money. And I found a bank book, an old bank book that had the perfect amount of spending money for our time away. So go figure. They're just little evidence that we collect along the way. Just do what your heart desires, and your soul will lead you to what the next step is.
So this is what you help people do: unlock, basically daring to ask what they really truly want in their heart, and just believe in that. Just like, the saying that says, ask and you shall receive. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do. And we learn to say it out aloud. A lot of people go, oh no, I can't ask for that. Guess what? You can. I'm here. I want to hear. What are you asking for? I see you, I hear you, and so it is.
And that can also be applied for people that are undercharging for the services. They think, oh, I'm charging
Absolutely.
$1,000 now, but it should be 5,000, but I can't ask for that. And then they're self-sabotaging themselves because just like the saying says, whether you believe you can, whether you believe you can't, you're right both ways.
Absolutely. So I had a client of mine was putting out a membership, and she just emailed me, and I said, that membership needs to be $9.99. She put it out for $99. She put it out for $1.99. She sold it. She put it out for $2.99. She sold it. The other day I was sitting on my couch and she sent me a message. She goes, thank you for believing in me. Someone just paid me $5.99 and I'm watching TV.
Beautiful.
You just received, and I said yes, because eventually you will get to that $9.99, but it's about the belief and putting it out in the world at that price point, and someone paid for it. And she goes, oh my God, I didn't believe that was possible. And so that they're the intuitive nudges that just come through, and I share those with my clients, and they just feel a little bit edgy most of the time, but they're true, they're real, because they transpire and materialize.
Love that. I'm so glad I'm recording this because this is gold, absolute gold. I will reword this myself because we all can not only can learn but can benefit from that. No matter what level you are, you can always. Thank you. Awesome. Now, what would you say is your ideal client?
Someone who doesn't quite believe but wants to. And I mean, she or he wants to gather evidence that magic is real, wants to define. They wouldn't call it magic. They know there's something more. So what are the mysteries in life? So they're gone down rabbit holes. They're interested in. There's so many things to pick out, but they're not quite sure what applies to them. So to harness, to give them a framework, to give them a language, to give them a construct that makes them safe and secure so that they can propel and take all their language and wisdom and knowledge with them. So not discount what they actually have within. So I want to waken up those is this real? All of my clients say, is this real? And by the end of our time together, you can't make this stuff up, because it unfolds beautifully, but we don't know how it will unfold.
This is so powerful that I'm sure you thought about it. You need to write a book on that topic. Seriously.
Yeah,
a book would be amazing.
Write it down. Is this real? I really love, because that's the number one question that I'm asked. Is it real? I said, well, It's not up to me to believe it's real. You gather evidence and you find what's real for you, because I can put constructs and frameworks there. I share my own experiences to demonstrate what can eventually happen, and it has happened with me. That's why I'm so strong with it, but it will happen with others too. But we open your heart, sometimes close off your mind, but open your heart, open your channel, and magic does appear. And I know
Absolutely.
magic is there is real. It's real.
Yeah, and once I highly recommend you write a book, and once you do, let me know. Not only I'll get a copy for myself, I'll get quite a few copies for people around me, because this is something that we can all, and I'm not joking, we can all benefit from. Seriously.
Thank you, Payman.
You're welcome.
Now,
and how long have you been doing this? You've been involved in this business again? You said 7 years, right?
7 years doing circle work, but since 2013 with Maria Hills, I've been Maria Hills as a brand since 2013. So
over the past, let's say 13 of past 8 years or so, you've been able to help more than a couple of people, right?
Oh yeah. So my goal is, thank you for asking. My goal is to touch the hearts of 1 million people across the world. we
All
did
right.
the stats and I was about 500,000. So I'm at about 500,000.
Whoa, really? That's amazing.
And that includes, just to clarify, it includes people that I've directly supported, and I could include in that the ripple effect and the
Mhm.
changes in people's lives and
Oh,
their
yes.
families, and how they've then gone out and shared their gifts to the world. So my target is another 500,000. So let's see how I can
By when?
achieve that. I don't think it will take me long. I think I'm past the 500,000 now. So maybe the next year or so.
Okay. Now, since you've been blessed to have such a tremendous, massive impact in the lives of people, I'd love for you to share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
Yeah, there's two that are coming that I can't. There's different areas. So I work on prosperity consciousness, which is healing, as well as how do you feel prosperous? What's prosperity to you? So Laura had stage 4 cancer. So she came to me and we worked as a medical intuition.
Mhm.
So and she's going strong. So it's wonderful years later. So she's doing the work and we did a lot of work together, and she's amazing. We touch base every now and again just to see how she is, and she's fantastic, like really fantastic according to the doctors and things. So that to me is a miracle, and I see miracles every day. The other one in Circle last year, in the first Circle, so bless Laura for doing the work. So Mary came and she, in the first, after our first Circle, she rang me and she was so excited. She goes, Maria, I've had 9 discovery calls booked in, and I am, she was at 6 figures, and her trajectory was 7 figures for the year. And she goes, I didn't know how that happened. Is it Circle? I go, yeah. So they're the benefits of saying yes to the next step, whether it's me or someone else. If I'm
Love
calling
that.
you, come and play. If others are calling you, say yes, because the world opens up to you.
Yeah, the power of making decisions. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Wow. You're just one decision away from a completely different life. You know?
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, and trust that we don't know how. We don't know how, and the human wants to know how. I want to know how, but I remember and I know from experience that I don't always have to know how. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to do that and go and do something else. Go and cook or make a bed or
Yeah.
do something else.
You know,
Yeah, forget about it.
I really love
Ask,
talking to you.
don't
Really
receive.
love talking to you because I keep learning so many amazing things about you. I told you you should write at least one book, but now I'm thinking maybe you should have more than a book, maybe 2 or 3 books. One for people, the lesson people can learn and implement this in their lives, and then the second one would be, you said you've transferred the lives of 500,000 people, so you can have a collection of books. Each book can be showcasing a client and their transformation and the lessons. You can do a multiple series of seasons, entire season on one could be on showcasing some of your clients transformations. Some could Another series of books can be the lessons you learned with working with all these people. It's one thing I'm working on right now myself. And of course, who says book? If you say book, obviously the next thing is this podcast. You can be having a podcast with just you,
I
inviting
know.
these people you're working on and to share their stories. And not only it will give them a platform to share their stories, but it will further strengthen, solidify, implement your position as the leader. Not only as a lead generation, but also as a lead education vehicle to educate your market further. Hey, she's the
I
go-to.
love that. I
Seriously,
love
and
it.
Do that
Amen.
as soon
Yeah.
as possible. When you're ready, I'm here for you. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. But seriously, you're sitting on a not even a gold mine, but on a diamond. I don't know what's higher than diamond, but so
No, that we all want to achieve diamond status. That's
especially
the
ladies,
diamond code.
ladies' best friend. Huh?
Yeah. Well, the diamond code is
Mm,
the essence of any light
yeah,
code.
awesome. Now, wow, so many things we can still talk. Let's change topic completely. One thing that I'm really fascinated about, especially for the past year and a half, is you mentioned you had a near-death experience. Tell us about that.
Okay. So when I was so I had cancer in 2019, and the operation was a big operation, and I couldn't come out. I didn't come out of recovery too well, and I had that near-death experience then. And all I remember is hovering and deciding to come to stay. And the only way I could stay is I was asking for someone to hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand. And as soon as I think from the anaesthetist took my hand, because I mustn't have been making any sense, because people were looking at me and they didn't quite know, but all I needed was connection. And the anaesthetist took my hand, and I came back and I started to wake up.
Nurse?
And what's that?
What did you say? The nurse started taking your hand?
The anaesthetist did, the doctor.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. That was profound, because a soul connection like that,
Mhm.
I could have stayed away, but I chose to come back. And that connection to another human being is so profound in our world, and I want to harness that. That let's hold hands together. Let's link arms.
So you were not conscious at the time. So were you telepathically communicating with that person? Wow, that is powerful.
Yeah. Because I'm
Mhm.
like, why can't you hear me? What's happening? What? Yeah. And yeah.
Did you see, as we hear and see in videos that talk about this topic, the proverbial light in the tunnel, and you were created a
No,
talk to
there was
God or
there
whatever
was
that told you this is not your time?
no, there was light, but I was hovering. I hadn't left the world. I was hovering.
Okay.
And I'm like, why can't you understand me? Why? Take my hand. Take my hand. Take my hand.
Wow. Yeah,
And,
moving your hands. No, no, of course you couldn't.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. So
So
that
let's go
was
back. Okay.
found.
Yeah. Let's go back further, a little bit back in that sequence of events. So when you were first diagnosed with cancer, what was your reaction? Did you say, "Oh my God, game over," or you never say, "No, that's not gonna happen"? You were a fighter from the get go. And what was your reaction when you first learned of this
No, I
negative
go,
news?
this is not happening. No, no.
Mm,
All right. So one of the things is like it had to come out, because I knew
mm,
it was toxin, and I knew it was harming my body. So I had to come out. And that was within a week of being diagnosed. I was in the operating theatre.
mm.
But I really truly didn't believe it. I'm like, what?
See,
And
that's impossible.
had
Yeah.
no symptoms. I had no symptoms at
Wow.
all. It was picked up on a general test that I had. And yeah, I did a public service announcement, and I said, hey, everyone go and do this test, because I've got cancer, and I didn't know I had cancer. So
Wow.
it was early stages. It was
Good.
early stages of cancer. And it was an experience that has opened up my energetic world and
Mhm.
gifts even more. Yeah.
Do you think that experience allowed you to further heighten
Yeah.
your medical intuitive
Yeah.
skills and all that capacities?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't recommend it
No, of course
as a
not.
training ground, but absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
So I can travel beyond worlds and dimensions and
Tell us about
yeah,
that. Wow, you
yeah. I can see beyond this 3D realm. So when people talk to me, I can just see what's ahead. So it's sort of it's not predictive because it's just it's a knowing. So I can go beyond what we see here.
so when me and you talking
I
right
know it
now,
sounds a little
what are you
ooh.
seeing? What are you seeing?
Um, what what did you ask me something? Sorry.
So me and you talking right now, what are you seeing that's gonna come next? I mean, are you seeing? Are you able to see? I mean, insight of maybe what's gonna happen after? Not in terms of we're gonna end the call, but predictions or anything, or any insight you can give me.
No, I just, no. What can I see? Like people would ask me this at a party trick. They do, oh,
Mm,
Maria, what can you see? And it's like, I do, when I do this work, I'm in a channel and I'm
mm,
really present and I've connected in and it is a transposition of it's not Maria anymore. It's an energetic connection. So I don't want to do a disservice by
sure.
do it like sharing now. But
What do
thank
you
you for asking.
channel? Very welcome. What do you channel? Is it your higher self, your soul? Or is it like you're channeling some entities from a different dimension or even extraterrestrials? Do you know what you're channeling in those time?
Yeah, I don't know that I channel extraterrestrials. That's something that I've kept on the peripheral. I think they try and come in, but
Mm-hmm.
I channel soul to soul. So I can connect in with souls.
Mm. Are
So the
these so?
soul will tell me the trajectory of the future as well as past, how to best heal, um,
Oh, okay.
how to contain a certain story or how to shed a story, how to release a story. It'll just share a number of energies with me. And then because I have a framework and a language around it, I can transpose it and make it practical. My thing is simple, doable, practical. If it's not simple, I can't do it. So you've got to give me something that I can do.
Sure. Wow, fascinating. We can do an entire episode just on that, but wow, let's move forward. I mean, I'm fascinated by it. I can talk about that. For the past year and a half, I have a whole stack of books on my table. I wish you could see it, like on books I haven't even started reading just on that topic. So,
Oh, so dimensions are really interesting. Like dimensional work is
mm,
interesting because a lot of people will talk know 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D. So that was interesting to me. And then there's
mhm,
a lot of other energies that we can tap into. So, and then
mhm,
there's ancestral work and there's soul work. I really, at the core of it, it's soul work. So,
mm,
what does your soul need? And how can we access it? So, my soul works with your soul to access what you need. So that's my service to the world: is how do we access at a soul level? So not everyone speaks soul speak. So over the year I teach people how they can connect in with their soul, and that's my gift, that I can connect in with other souls.
so is that in conjunction with your medical intuition, or is that
Yeah, so that's
extra to
partly
that?
the mental intuition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Wow. You're really blessed because you have such incredible talents and skills, divine gifts.
Oh,
Wow.
thank you, Amen. Yeah,
You're welcome.
they took a while to land as
Of
gifts.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's extraordinary, and sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable. But it is who I am. It's extraordinary.
Hmm.
I call it a gift of service to the world, and
Absolutely.
I'm lucky to work with people that and I feel that I would want to work with someone like me too.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't say that egoically. I just say, hey,
Sure.
can you see what I'm saying? What's next? Because I'm human
So
too.
Maria, tell me what's up for me. Maria, you're talking to yourself, you know?
Oh, yeah, there's amazing things
Do you
up
do
for
that? Do
you.
that? Do you do that work on yourself sometimes to see what's in store for you and what's happening in your life?
Yeah, so I have to meditate daily, and if I
Okay.
don't, I'm not as grounded as I need to be. And through the meditation, I receive a lot of messages, not only for myself, but for my clients as well. So that my meditation is my medicine.
So how do you receive this messages through meditation? Is it you have visions, you have information downloads? How do you get
Yeah,
those messages?
all of that. Or
Okay.
I have all of the, or I have all of the
Mm,
clairs.
all of that. Okay. How long have
And
you been
sometimes
meditating?
I'm like, what? But I'm very grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Wow.
they come in thick and fast. And if I'm writing, if I'm channeling, sometimes I miss words because I'm going so fast that I miss words. And if I'm writing it down or
Instead
if
of
I'm
writing, why
channeling,
don't you just speak it and on your phone? The phone just records it. Won't be
that
faster?
I some there's something in it. I don't record it that often. I do write it I write it on my notes in my notes, and I find that works. But I do miss. I need an editor to look at it. It's like so a lot of my blogs will come through. I write articles as
Oh
well,
wow.
so all of that comes through my meditation.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. We can do an entire another episode just on that alone. Wow. Incredible. So but let's move forward.
Okay.
um we're gonna be wrapping up soon. So the
Okay.
theme of this podcast is causes. What would you say is a cause that you're very passionate about yourself?
I'm really passionate about legacy. So legacy, I'm really passionate about the way we present as parents, as leaders in the world, and to really own that mantle, because we all have a legacy. So what is my legacy and what's your legacy? So know your teachings, know the impact that you're making in the world. And I'm really passionate about people believing in themselves, that they have a legacy and they have a power to really be teachers and leaders in the world.
Awesome. Awesome. Now to finish off, let me ask you a series of rapid fire questions on advices. Ready?
Okay,
All right. What would you say has been so far the best, greatest piece of advice you've received?
do it.
Just do it. Just like the Nike slogan.
My coach, just do it. No arguments, just do it.
Yeah, I love that. And what has been so far the worst piece of advice you've received?
You have to do it this way.
Oh yes, oh yes. I'll get a job. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine and you can go back in time and sit face to face with the 18-year-old Maria. What's the number one piece of advice you would give to her knowing all that you know now?
Trust.
Trust
Trust the
what?
path.
The
Trust the
path?
path. Yeah.
Okay. Mm. All right. I know you don't have your podcast yet, but imagine you have your podcast now. And today you're interviewing the most special person in the world, which is yourself. So you're interviewing yourself for today's episode. What's the first question that you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
What's medical intuition?
Okay. Good one. All right. And you've been doing that since you've had this gift since you were born, and you're still always asking yourself, what the hell is that?
Yes, because it appears it's
Mm,
different for everyone. I
absolutely.
don't do one thing for everyone. It's just different.
Mhm. Yeah, and also it keeps on evolving because one of the things, just like the eternal Socrates said, that the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know anything. You know.
Exactly. I know nothing. I know what I
Mhm.
know until I know something different.
You're only scratching the surface, and that's what makes the journey so much more fascinating
Exactly.
and powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite question to ask is, what's the smallest thing you've done that has had the greatest positive impact in both your life and business? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing. For me, it's been starting this podcast. What about you, Maria? The one thing that you've done that has had the greatest positive impact in your life and business.
Oh, wow. The smallest thing, I think don't have a podcast, so I can't say that, but hey, it might be coming.
Yes.
It will be coming. It's in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think playing with my website, having a worldwide presence.
Yes. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you a question, but this one is for me. Give me tough love. Give it to me straight. Don't try to be nice. Do you have any tips for me to improve my podcast?
Oh, I want to give you some really good feedback. No, I don't. I think you're wonderful. You're warm. Your rapport is amazing. The questions you ask are insightful and bring out the best in your guests. And I think you are so lovely, Payman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. That's amazing. And I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, Maria, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so they can, thank you. I'm on LinkedIn, Maria Davis, on Facebook, Maria Heals, Instagram, Maria Heals. I have my own website, Maria Heals. And there's download my 5 days, 5 spells. That's magical, and do it. Promise me you'll do it and you will create some magic in your life. That's on my website. So come and join my community because I'd love to have you.
And I'll promise to put all these links on the show notes. And absolutely. Well, Maria, listen, it's been an absolute honor, phenomenal. We've been talking for the past 90 minutes almost. It just flew by. It was phenomenal, very enjoyable. We could talk for hours. You're such a wonderful person to talk to, and especially not only you have such an incredible, area of experiences to share, but you're very fun to talk to. Conversation with you flows naturally. It's not boring. It's really fun. That's why you're here. Because I thought if you were not boring, if you were not fun, you would not be having this conversation. So I salute you. You're truly with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep shining, blessing the world with your presence, with your smile, with your transformation, with everything you're doing, with your presence, most importantly, and keep doing it for the next, as the Italians love to say, for the next million years to come. So for eons of time. So stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, my wonderful friend, and we'll definitely stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine.